Today I am looking at Wrld on Unity. Wrld is a API, a means to create terrain, so we can see land from up above at certain angles with a camera. So I'm looking at this for three different things: ease of use, panning, and the overall quality that is presented. So I have split this up into two sections. Number one, I'm looking at the world map, and then number two, I'm looking at the demo, which is the samples that they provide. So let me give this a run and so we can see what it looks like. So what I've done is I have set a place in London, so it has pulled down the tile very quickly. The tile is how the information that is associated with a certain location. So in this case we have latitude and longitude of England. It's not seen this particular place, and that was quite quick in the way that it loaded. Now I'm using the mouse wheel, and as I am changing my height from the ground, you can see we have a particular heading, and we have a certain starting distance, and as we zoom out we can see that the angle which I am looking is changing. So it's changing to a vertical side, but you can see that with the camera by default it is attempting to load everything, and it is doing the zooming for me. Let me just write something. They will not be supporting Unreal Engine at the moment. Do you support caching? Ahead of time. I'm just talking to the support people of Wrld to get an idea of what is possible with this toolkit. As you can still see, I'm zooming in. We can see obviously that it's switched to a different level. Is there a way of zooming in to the world without an obvious change of picture on the map? So there's a couple of questions. So I'm zooming in further. You can see it's changing the level of detail, it's changed the angle of view, and I've got a tick box that says LOD based on distance. So what this is saying is that for each of the things that we see, show more detail or show less detail. Because I have been here before, that's a bit better. Let's go somewhere in Scotland. Let's see what happens when I'm zooming in on this. You can see it's easier to see the terrain in this area. So we've got terrains out the box as well, and we have map behavior. We can decide two different standards. So this is a fairly good API. It's fairly obvious how it works. I don't have to do much work to load something because it's based on the camera viewpoint. Maybe I can do that same test with Mapbox to see if it works in the same way. And again, there could be a way using code to maybe request these items ahead of time. That would be very useful. So if I can have a look at the Wrld store, hopefully I can find, we've got a scene and we've got the script, world map script. Do we have a world map script somewhere? No, it's not obvious where it is. It's not exposed anyway. Let's do edit script anyway. We can do it that way. I can't find where it is in the scripts folder. So let's have a look what the code looks like for this scenario. So, etc, etc. What interesting things do I have? Stream resources for built-in camera. Wow. They've really abstracted this away. So it's hidden in a way how a lot of this works. Mapbox, for example, nothing is hidden at all. So they must be in some way having this code somewhere. Let's have a look at the key. Well, impressive, they managed to hide away all the code. That's different to Mapbox. So there we have one example. And now we're going to have a look at the demos, and these are pretty good because it gives examples of the various things you can achieve. You can do more than this type of work, but this API is more about abstraction. So if we look at moving the camera, let's just look. So there's a time delay and then it shifts over from one place to another after 4 seconds, I believe. And then adjusting the camera heading and tilt. So these may be common use cases that we may have. And I notice it's very quick in terms of loading these various tiles and going to a certain place. Set custom render camera. So they have decided where we're looking with the camera. Set routine, selecting buildings. So on here you can see that with code they've just highlighted one of them. So in terms of developing things, because it's very abstracted, that could be a benefit or it could not be a benefit depending on what is wanting to be achieved. Placing objects on buildings. You might want to do that to indicate a certain building has a certain attribute of some kind. Highlighting buildings. There we can see the building highlighted. Clearing building highlights. Don't really care about that one. If you can highlight, you'll be unhighlight. Updating building highlight color. So this is changing different states. Picking buildings. So this is about me just clicking on them to select them, which would be good for showing any kind of information. Now Wrld has this indoor map based visualization. which is very interesting. You can put things inside buildings, etc. I don't know how useful it is in my scenario. Display name of indoor map. Display the name of the indoor map. I'm not sure it has one. Indoor floors. Wow, that's quite good. You need to have a building with this content in the first place in order to take advantage of this. And secondly, I'm not sure how we'd put the data in this world. I know that it supports 3 different formats, and those formats are around ER, SI and a couple other ones. And let me have a look at this. So we're able to select the particular map and then we would be able to interact. That's a very interesting use case. So a lot of indoor maps, so a lot of outdoor and indoor. Pre-caching map data. This is something that Mapbox does not have at this time. I must have gone out of the range. In order not to see that. So I'm just seeing how fast it would load. So we've got pre-caching, which is what Mapbox doesn't have. Position something on a map. So we've got an object, we've put it on the map with code. What else do we have that's useful? Separate streaming and rendering, not quite sure. It's got a very good frame rate. This is running on a 980 graphics card on a PC, 32 gig of memory. So that's quite good performance. Colliding. I've spent a lot of time obviously on the demos here. And as part of these, let me find the Wrld scripts. They did have some very good samples, very easy samples to understand. We'll just find them a second. And this is good compared to having to do all the animations yourself. I just need to find the right platform. So by that I mean the Unity side. 3D maps. So these are very good. Let me find where is my So with this they also do augmented reality as well as the virtual reality side. Okay, here we go. So it took a little while. What we've got is a camera API, and we've got various different samples, examples. So the items that we saw earlier, this is you can see how they did it here, and it's relatively easy with just a few lines of code. And it's the same thing with all these examples where it is quite easy to, they've abstracted away, even with the API, the most common scenarios that we'd want to do, most likely. What it doesn't say is to create any other scenarios, how to extend this as much. So at the moment I don't know what things would be easy to develop and what things are not easy to develop, because this information is abstracted away. Mapbox, on the other hand, was a bit more obvious because you know what it did, but it seemed the quality in rendering was a bit less from the experience.